Mhm. 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 waaw loolu nga bëgg a xam ci Muhammadu Gambia channel bi. Mhm. waaw loolu xam naa dinañ ci gën a waxtaan. but man li ma ci interested carrément mooy li nekk ci channel bi. besides that lan nga ci am interest yow. Mhm. 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 waaye yow gis nga ne for example in the Quranic recitation there's a lot of military action going on. So how do you see that? You see all of this military or governmental stuff happening on the Quranic recitation. So what do you think about that? Mhm. 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 So maybe we should start there, like the abstracts, because the abstracts really, they are a way of having a better sense of purpose. That's really what they aimed for, having a better sense of purpose of what the message, what the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, Manam ci kii bi daal, maanaam abstract bi loolu la daal, abstract bi moom. Mhm. Mhm. So we will get to that. About the military terms and everything. waaye li ñuy wax mooy ci abstract bi moom maanaam xamal ñun ñi di doomu aadama lan moo nekk bataaxal bi yàlla jotali ci ñun. This is the most important thing. We know that we are the children of Adama and that Allah Ta'ala xam nga jox na ko message. He gave him a message. He gave Adama alayhi salatu wasalam a message. And it is the same that he given all messengers until Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam till our current time. Understand? Yeah. So that's the purpose really, and the entire Quran is just one word to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He already completed the Quran and was there already in the law, so that's the thing with the abstracts. But as far as the military terms and the governmental or state affair ideology, that is actually something in which addresses a state or a government, of course. However, it's first and foremost derived to the community. The Muslim Ummah is first of all one community, right? And one community means that it's one body. As alayhi salatu wasalam said, Mom Fuko, one body wherever, harm is done or wherever pain is done, then the rest of the body feels it. You understand? So as a community, it's a message that's, encouraging or reminding the fact that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and his community, at the very earliest stages, they were already involved in network intelligence already, as far as even the Meccan period. And the recitation itself is the biggest form of military action that was given at that time to the Muslimin, was to recite the Quran, be in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the Quran. And that's why Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, throw them as volleys, throw them as volleys of spears and arrows, and use them as daggers, to the falsehood. And so that's what that is talking about. And within the year or whatever time, these characters continue to play a role in that particular aspect. Who is Commander, mind? It's our mind. You have to put your mind to use. What is our heart and how familiar we are with our heart? Our heart is also a very important component because the Prophet ﷺ said that, there's a morsel in the body which if it feels, if it is sincere, the entire body is sincere or pure. And that if it is, and if it's, yeah, so the heart, you understand. But here's a very important, character which a lot of people do not understand is soul. Everyone knows that we have a soul, but how confident we are, or how resourceful are we with our souls? That's a how beautiful soul is. well, I mean, some people, not everybody has a beautiful soul. I mean, you take, take for example, people who know better than being involved in dunya. And so the worldly gains, and they're so greedy about it, so their soul has been nourished to that, to where it's, it's more inclined to that. So if you're a believer in Allah, and you know that He actually held your soul in His hand, then you really, it brightens up the horizons as to how much of a relationship you really can develop with that soul, and what type of an attaché it is to your maker, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's like the mystical side of it is all, finding out, discovering, and it takes movement, it takes action, it takes reality to practically come into play, and it's a battle, it's a battle. So that's what the military is all about. Why Muhammadu Gambia, as I mentioned before, he is a character who has the background of being raised in the Gambia. And yes, in the Gambia. So he's raised in the Gambia, but he's a street boy. He's a boy. And in Gambia, the beauty of being a boy is that you could be well in your 30s and 40s and 50s, and you're calling, those who are equal to you in age, boy. So he is obviously he's in his early or mid 40s, and he has, lived in America for 20 plus years or what have you. And he gets to a point where he says that, things have to, practically be evolutionized, or there has to be some huge reform, and that's what brings him to the platform as being one who brings change. He's Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he has the background of being raised in the Gambia, but he wants to identify the American and the Gambian and bring them together. He wants to utilize the resources from America and his prior, skill set from the Gambia and bring it together, so that definitely when he says a revolution, which has to cross, borders, it's already crossing the border into Gambia. So that's what's behind Muhammadu Gambia. But obviously he has that rage, he has a rage of being, growing up, not just in the Gambia, but having a background of the post-apartheid in South Africa. He's witnessed the coup, at the borders, of the July coup of, the junta back then. And so he's got this data mentality also in him. And so all these different things start to take shape and form in his, in his orbit, if you may. And he just starts to, revolutionize it. So that's why there's Muhammadu Gambia. And he revolutionizes it in the manner of, Quranic recitation and doing these mystical poetries and, creating content for, for a strong informational hold, or a strong informational position, which is very informative. It's a very informative position, very educational.
Did you mention trading?
Training.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, training. So he has a second to him, which is the Abdul Fattah, Muhammad Abdul Fattah. Muhammad Abdul Fattah is that, that diplomatic side. He is, very well of a spokesperson. When you say diplomacy, is, into administrative, authorship. He's into, intellectual creativity, if you may. And they practically, complement each other. They support each other. Muhammad Gambia and Muhammad Al Fattah, they're there practically for each other all throughout, and they keep each other company, and they actually keep each other in the loop as to what could be happening next, and sometimes one has to calm the other one down and so forth. But those are the characters which which have been created from this entire time of being in the revolutionary stage, or in the or in the prior to revolutionary stages. So this is how it happened, and there's also more to that story, but obviously that cannot be the thing, because now we have to go and we have to do some lecturing. Very important time for the kids. But the Muhammad Abdul Fattah, his sole profession, obviously. Well, I wouldn't say sole profession, but by nature, his profession is Quranic teaching. So he's been a Quranic teacher for 30 years, 30 something years. Alhamdulillah. But the point of the matter is, he's been able to find himself stabilized in the Quranic education. And that's another big story, because you have Memoirs of a Hafiz, which was published 2019. So this is the situation of the Allied Coalition Forces.